The number you have reached, 911, has been changed to a non-published number.
You're listening to UCW Radio. In your face.
Naaman for a long time, well over 30 years. Some of your most recognizable roles have been that people that our listeners would be familiar with right off the bat. Seinfeld, Babylon 5, Star Trek, Smallville, Mission Impossible, and those are the ones that come to mind for me. Now, as opposed to me going through your resume and going through the whole thing, because you and I would be on the phone until, I don't know, Friday, and we'll both pass out and your wife will get mad. It'd be a big problem, I think. So we don't want to do that. But so if it's okay with you, I'd like to start by going to the beginning. How did you get involved in the entertainment business?
Well, I don't know if people are familiar with the original show, Mission Impossible, not the Tom Cruise movies, but the original show that started in 1966, ran through 1973.
I am, and I'm dating myself.
Well, my father, Greg Morris, starred in that show early on and was one of the first African Americans to play a role that had great integrity and was an integral part of this incredible team. The Mission Impossible team. The show was a legendary show, groundbreaking at the time, very intelligent, highly suspenseful, used so many elements that were not being used in television at the time. Great music, great score by Lalo Schifrin, just, seminal stuff for TV. And my father was one of the stars early on. And growing up in that world as a young man, it was very attractive, obviously, to me. I was at the set quite a bit, and I liken it to growing up at Disneyland, because right across the breezeway was Star Trek. Their set was right there. My Three Sons was shooting there, Bonanza was shooting there, Mannix was shooting right across the breezeway again. So, to grow up at a time like that with a guy like my dad obviously had a great effect on me, and I gravitated towards that part of the industry. Now, there's no guarantee that you can have any talent.
Mm-hmm.
Just because your pop or your mom was rocking the house. So, I went to class and I started in the theater, and that's kind of how I got my start. Just like most people. Even though I was brought up in this game, again, there was no guarantee that I had the chops. So I had to go try to figure all that out. That's the work.
Well, I'm glad you said that, because a lot of people think, well, your father, your mother, they're singers, they're entertainers, and by default it's an easy road in. But there's no easy road.
No, this is a tough road. I don't care who you are.
Yeah.
And even if you're gifted parts or you're gifted opportunity, those studio execs and those network executives are not the final say. The audience is.
Right.
And when the audience sees that you got the goods, they laugh with you. They cry with you. You move them to a degree. Then it really doesn't matter where you come from. Whether you come from nowhere or you come from everywhere.
Right.
Because you've made that connection, and the truth is the truth.
But that's what it is knowing how to connect with your audience. And if you know how to do that, then that's half the battle right there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Basically know thyself.
Yeah, I went to see a play. Actually, it was a Christmas Carol. I went to go see Christopher Walken perform, and it was interesting because I said, wow, it says Christopher Walken's going to be Scrooge. That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So I walked in.
See it.
Yeah, well, he scared me. And I'm going to tell you why. I walked in late, and I was the only person who walked in late, but there was traffic. I can't help it. He shot me a dirty look, and I sat down quiet as a mouse, but his performance was engaging because it's like, he had the audience in his hands.
Right.
And I thought that was amazing, and that's the effect that you have. And you've done that time and time again. I had to just throw my little personal thing in there just so that people know that I can relate to stuff. I try anyway.
Yeah, you recognize it. Well, my theory is always that you don't have to be a trained artist to appreciate art.
Right.
Great art, or even good art, speaks to those that are not artists. If I'm only funny to comedians or to comic actors, then I'm limited in my scope.
Right.
Everybody has to have a certain appreciation for that. They don't need to know how to paint to appreciate the painting.
That you couldn't have said it any better. Because if you appeal to the masses, then your audience is vast, wide, and just out there. And that's what you want as an actor, or actor, artist. You're expressing yourself.
Right.
And it's all in the same realm. So if you
well,
can,
it's like we're talking about Seinfeld. Seinfeld is a very popular show, obviously, one of the most popular shows in the history of television.
Right.
And going into audition for Seinfeld is a daunting task. So you can't think about that. You can't think about the masses, the popularity of the show, and appealing to. You have to commit to, my job is this character named Jackie Childs. Who is he? What makes him tick? What does he wear? How does he smell? What does he look like? What does he blah, blah. And all of that, when I'm specific about that, and then you throw it, wham, into the mix that was Seinfeld, it's a fortunate thing because that's a huge platform.
Yes.
Then you have the popular vote, so to speak. But I don't think you can go after that. You have to go after your task, which is the character.
Yeah.
And then if your character is good, then people get it, whether they know why they get it or they don't get it. You know what I mean?
Right, but you're becoming Jackie Childs. You know what your job is, and that's an important thing, because I see too many times in Hollywood or theater. Sometimes in theater, but sometimes people try to overdo it.
Right.
They try to overact. It happens. You try to do too much, or you're a singer, you try to oversing. You do too much as opposed to doing what you're meant to do.
Right.
You're meant to walk across the street. You walk across the street. That's your job. Goodbye. That's it. You do it. See, I want our listeners to really grab what you're saying, because you said that you had to go audition for Seinfeld. It wasn't a given to you.
No. And quite frankly, no one was convinced that I was funny. I hadn't really proven myself in that regard. I've done a lot of dramatic stuff and had been the straight man in a lot of comedies. But I had never been the funny, even though I thought I was a funny guy in real life. I guess my friends thought I was funny. I just was never, I took this acting thing so seriously that I was finding significance so much. I was so much looking for that significance that I was missing the funny. And when I went to read for Jackie, I kind of just gave it all away and just was like, it's not even about what funny is. It's about who this guy is. And when I committed to that guy, then I found the funny. It was very, very interesting. So on a hot Saturday afternoon, I went over with 5 or 6 other African-American actors, and all in our suits, and went over to CBS Radford in the Valley and auditioned for Larry David and Jerry Seinfeld, and I was the lucky guy who got the part.
Yeah, and that's amazing to me, because for all intents and purposes, people think, well, your father was Greg Morris, he did all this stuff, people in Hollywood knew who you were, it should be easy for Phil Morris to go get a gig. But nothing's given to you, and I'm glad that we touched on that, because people think that it's just a given. It's just a given that, oh, okay, you're going to get a role here, there, this, that, but you work hard for what you get.
Yeah, you really do. And there's a lot of talented people out here, like I said, and from all walks of life and all corners of the globe. So just because I have the history that I have, good for me, makes me an interesting guy at parties. But when it comes to my profession, these people are putting down serious do-re-mi. Yep. And they want to make sure that their return is something more than a brother with a birth certificate from the dude who was in Mission Impossible in the 60s. You know what I mean? So, hey, man, it's business all over the world. That's what they want. They want the bottom line to be covered.
Yeah, that's when it comes. That's what it comes down to. At the end of the day, the producers, the show, whoever's forking up the money, the investors, they want to know, okay, this is not going to be a piece of crap when it's all said and done. They want to make sure that this is going to be a product that will go out and generate some capital so they can recoup on their investment, and that's it. Bottom line.
That's it. And we're fortunate in my business. I'll tell you, Lou, and like I started the interview, I'm fortunate because I love what I do. I can bear up with under the strain of the business part of it, because what I end up doing, what's my job? If I'm doing a comedy, I've been doing a lot of comedic movies lately, it's to be funny. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's to make this guy interesting, eminently watchable, and at the end of the day, funny.
Right.
And it's to make you feel something. I feel very fortunate that is my job. I'm sitting in front of a computer as I'm talking to you. I'm writing a web series, and my job today is to try to figure out how to make this cool and awesome and hip and good. I feel fortunate that